Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, people on YouTube. And welcome back to William in Japan. Today, you join me and my trusty little CB250R for its long overdue 20,000 kilometer owner's review. Sit on tight. And welcome back as you join me on my actual commute to work on a really hot and humid Wednesday Tokyo morning. So just give you guys a brief update on what the CB250R is for the Japanese market due to tax regulations and license regulations. This bike is using a old CBR250R engine instead of the CBR300R engine that most of you may be more familiar with. But basically, the frame, the shocks, and the drivetrain is all the same between the CB250R and the CB300R. This is a 2019 model, so it does not come with a gear position, and it does not have assist and slipper clutch. So bits and bobs, a bit little difference with the 2022 bike, but as a whole package, not much of a difference, if I may say. So back to how does it commute. I have been using this motorcycle to commute for the past 3 years, and I have to say, thanks to its really light curb weight, which is 144 according to Honda. Of course, I have had a lot of bits and bobs which added weight, of course, but in the end it is an extremely light and compact bike. So when you're weaving through traffic, lane filtering, and just speeding along against all these minivans and SUVs, it does the job pretty well. It comes with 27 horsepower, it revs to 10,500 RPM, so for a single thumper, it is quite a sporty engine compared to those from, let's say, the CB350, the Honda Highness, and those from Royal Enfield. It makes more power, less torque, so you had it ringing out a bit, which is pretty odd for a single cylinder engine, but it does the job good enough. In stop and go traffic, of course, it is not as hot as other bigger CC bikes, and it is really light on the clutch, so getting stuck in these kind of traffic, you won't get tired easily. It's not much of a stress, of course, when you're doing your morning commute when traffic is as bad as this. Welcome to Tokyo, guys. This is actually a better part. Traffic can get way worse than this from time to time. So since this is a really small engine with only 27 horsepower, you gotta really ring it out if you want to do faster stop and go, and really comes to life after 6,000 RPM. Before that, I won't say it's extremely gutless, but after 6,000, there's a nice, I won't say it's torque since it's already halfway through the RPM, but in the mid-range, it does give you a more of a torquey feel and gets off its feet and weaves through traffic pretty well. Of course, when we go to the highway part, it does not perform as well as we hope it can, but it's a 250. It has its limitations. Right, let's get between these trucks and the filter to the front of the line. Having these bar end mirrors definitely makes lane filtering a bit harder, not much, a very bit, since it's just like, what, 1 centimeter over my bar end. It's not a big deal, but have to watch out for back mirrors of cars from time to time, especially when you're unlucky and one leans to the left and one leans to the right, leaving you very little space to lane filter through. Right, let's go. Yeah, if you give it the beans, it's not even full throttle yet, but it definitely can pick up speed pretty well since it's a really light bike. And getting off the line like that, you can pass through traffic with no problems at all. By the way, what I'm doing now is pretty illegal, so do it at your own risk. But I don't want to be late for work, so have to squeeze through. And balance wise of this bike is really well done. Honda did a great job doing concentration of mass when they're designing this bike. They actually got the inlet, the air inlet, into a backward position in order to give this bike even more centralized mass that it already has with the old engine layout. So thanks to that, you can do footless stops very easily. If you want to, you can definitely ride with 2 of your hands off the bar, no problem at all as well. So in the end, for a commuting bike in these kind of really tight packed traffic, it does the job great. It's comfortable, it's light, it's flicky, and power is just where you need it. As we approach the Tokyo Rainbow Bridge to see how does the CB250R perform on some faster roads. But first of all, some keen-eyed of you may have noticed this is obviously not the same day as I shot my commute. I must apologize to you guys for the lack of content lately. Tokyo has been extremely hot or extremely wet in the past 2 months, and I just couldn't get my lazy ass up to get this video finished properly. But hey, we're on it right now, and let's get back to the CB250R. Alright, also one thing I would like to correct myself that I did in my commute. I did mention this bike was a 2019 model, which is incorrect. This is a 2020 model, but frankly speaking, other than some minor changes in seat height and colorways, livery, nothing much has changed between the 19 and 20 bikes. So the biggest difference is definitely in 2022, this year, when they re-released the CB250R in Japan and CB300R in other markets with a slipper clutch and gear position indicator. But I digress. Let's focus on getting this ride through the Tokyo Rainbow Bridge. So, doing 70 kilometers, 80 kilometers, or even 90 kilometers, the gearing of this bike definitely handles it pretty well. Even though it is a single-cylinder thumper engine, not much of vibration is felt through the bars, a little through the pegs, and mostly it's through the seat. And as you can see, we're doing around 80 kilometers in 6th gear. Our rev counter is around 5,000 RPM. So if you want to do passing, it definitely still has some juice back in this, still left in this tank. All you need to do is give it a bit more throttle and it can definitely do the job. So for these kind of fast flowing roads, if I may, the CB250R is definitely still in its zone. It can take care of it pretty well in a pretty comfortable way as well. And the wind blast, especially if I have this little, I'll say a little visor thing, windscreen in front of me, the air is pretty clean, not lots of buffeting, and I definitely feel very, very confident and comfortable when riding at these kind of speeds with this little bike. Of course, since I did change out the normal Dunlop GPR 300s to the kind of the 50-50 on-road off-road tire that we are using right now, the Pirelli Scorpion STR tires. But other than that, handling wise, like these kind of really fast bends, large curves, it really settles in. And for these kind of speeds, there really isn't a lot of problem, even if we are only riding on a 250cc motorcycle. Yes, compared with larger cc bikes, larger capacities, you may feel it's underpowered. But frankly speaking, for daily use, this bike gets a double thumbs up for me. Definitely no problem at all. And look at it, just look at it. It is so composed, so well outbalanced. It's just a great city bike. Alright guys, then how does the CB250R perform on the highway? We are back on the beautiful Aqualine crossing Tokyo Bay to my favorite playground, Southern Chiba. So we are now in 6th gear, doing around 80 kilometers, just cruising on the outside lane, which, as I mentioned earlier, is the perfect speed for this little machine. But if we are to do 100 or 110, we'll definitely need to drop a gear, accelerate, and there we are at near 100, since we don't have enough space. And I am having a lot of vibration through this plastic lid, not the fuel tank. The real fuel tank is under this. Through this plastic lid, through the bars, and through the pegs. Yes, this is a high revving single cylinder with a balancer shaft, but it's still a single cylinder, guys. Vibration is there. It is a 250cc motorcycle. It is not meant to cruise at this kind of speed. Of course you can. I did it lots of times in my 2.2 kilos on this motorcycle. I can live with it, but it is definitely not a comfortable riding place to do high mileage on highways in a single day. Furthermore, the Aqualine is usually crowded, so the speed isn't as fast as other highways. Let's say the Tomei, the Tohoku highways, sorry. Those usually cruise around 120 to 140. And that is definitely not a speed this bike can handle. So, in a whole, this bike, Achilles heel is definitely highway speeds. It is meant to cruise at 80 kilometers on faster back roads. Of course, some of you may ride way faster than that, but for me, 80 kilometers on the back road is perfect for this machine. Alright guys, speaking of Twisty Roads, we are back at the Maple Road in Chiba. So before we discuss how this bike performs on these kind of twisty roads, we have to remind you that this bike, let's stop. Okay, must remind you, the tires on this bike right now is not a sport tire. It is meant for dual sports. It is the Pirelli Scorpion Rally STRs. Although it is advertised as a 50-50 on-road and off-road tire, frankly speaking, it is made 80% for on-road. Yes, I have taken this bike with these tires on gravel roads and dirt roads a few times before. But if you really want to do some proper off-roads, it will get hindered down in deeper mud and more gnarly stuff. But however, thanks to this tire's weird tread pattern, if I may put it that way, it gives you a very, very sharp feeling when you are leaning into corners. It is not because of the tire profile. It is actually pretty round, but I think because it is a 50-50 tire, designed as one I guess, there are large treads right at the side of the tire, and when you fall through that tread, you feel a sudden drop, which gives you a really, really nice feeling when you're leaning into these kind of corners. So the Maple Road is definitely a very, very fast back road. Curves are nice and large, no sharp hairpins. Definitely people love to pick up their speed on this road. And for the CB, riding at around 80 kilometers right now is definitely in its sweet spot. Not a lot of vibration, right in its torque curve for acceleration through corners, and the suspension front and back definitely can take these kind of bumps without problems. Yep, even going through these bumps, not potholes, but only bumps, definitely doesn't feel that bad. The suspension on this bike, especially the front forks, is damped a bit on the soft side. It is meant to be used as a street bike. Did he see me? Yes, he did. Good. Okay. It's meant to be used as a street bike, not on these kind of really fast paces, and definitely not for the track. So it is more damped for comfort than performance. As long as you are on smoother roads like this, it composes itself pretty well without a lot of drama. And the tires feel great. Front end feels very sturdy. I must say, this is what you want on these kind of roads. But unfortunately, when you push it even harder, or you are a more experienced rider, you want to get your knee down, I'm afraid this bike does not cut it. It will definitely need a suspension upgrade. Okay, it looks up. Okay, where was I? Sorry, I digress. It'll definitely need a suspension upgrade to make sure it can support it on heavier acceleration and heavier braking. Of course, a 250cc cannot accelerate really hard, but braking wise, the support width of the front fork is definitely subpar. Ow, that's hit by a second bug today already. Okay, speaking of braking, it is definitely on the bad side. I'm sorry, Honda, but your brakes really suck on this bike. It has a radial mounted 4-pot caliper, single side disc on the front. Spec wise, on paper, that sounds great, right? But the brake feeling is so smushy, it's like you're pressing on a sponge. And even switching out the brake pads, it didn't really help. The braking feeling still isn't great. The stopping power is still bad. And after doing some proper investigation, which means Google, after Googling it a bit, it basically says the ABS pump is the problem. Some people have switched out the master cylinder. They have turned to steel braided brake lines, but without deleting the ABS pump, it cannot solve this brake feel, which really, unfortunately, feels really bad. But other than that, the little punchy engine, very flickable frame, and if you get more sticky tires on this, this is a bike perfect for blasting down these kind of back roads. So in my opinion, in summary, this bike is pretty good for a back road blaster. So as we enjoy the last part of the May Pro Road, I remember this is a quick switchback. Let's brake a little bit. Yep. Oh, catty cat. Hello, look at you. Definitely a little cat. By the way, I have 3 cats. I love kitties. Okay, I digress. As a summary of this bike, how would I rate it? As a commuter, it is, as I mentioned, a perfect bike for that role. If you want to do a bit more sporty riding like this, it can definitely take on it. But I bet you will grow out of this bike really soon. And that's the main reason why I got the Duck, my Ducati Super Sport as well. If you want more power, the only solution, I guess, is to upgrade. A 250cc is a 250cc bike. Maybe in your country it is a 300cc or 287 to be exact. That little horsepower, I think it has like around 30 horsepower or 32. Sorry, I don't have my specs right now. Let's put it up on the screen right now. You will still grow out of it in 1 or 2 years. If you have the financial position to run 2 bikes, I would definitely keep this as my grocery grabber and my commuter, and get a bigger one to have fun on further trips or faster roads or even the circuit, if that's something you want to try out. Yeah, feels so good blasting down these lanes. Okay, since we are at the end of the line as well, let's sum up my thoughts. Okay. the CB250R in a haul. It is a light, flexible bike for everyday use, everyday riding, and if you want, definitely can take down some sporty riding. Cost is low. Mile per gallon is great. Since this is Japan, I'm sorry, it's in kilometers and liters. That's 33 point something for you down this road. If you push it even harder, I bet it'll still stay over 30. Right guys, this has been William. Thanks for joining me, and see you next time. Ooh, nice chime. Bye bye.